All right, my friends, we are live. So I got this email question or question sent to my email the other day that asks or says, I started off in June of this year with about $3,000 and quickly got addicted in a good way. I'm at around $9,000 as of today with 30 stocks, but 11 of them are fractional. So 11 of these holdings, he has less than one share, just a fraction of a share. So anyway, this quarter is still kind of paying out, but I made around $47 so far, which is nice. Good job. My question is, am I better off reinvesting what I get into the fractional stocks to make them whole, or do I leave the drip turned on? In other words, do I reinvest it back in the positions from which they came? Now, in tonight's live stream, guys, we are going to be diving into this a little bit. I'll answer this specific question, or try to, and then I also want to share some reasons why you may just in general want to drip your dividends, which stands for dividend reinvestment policy or something like that, which basically is automatically reinvesting the dividends back into the positions that paid them. So we'll talk a little bit about why you may want to do that, and I'll also share why I actually don't drip my dividends, why I don't automatically reinvest them into the positions that paid them. So we're going to get into all of that, but first, welcome to another Dividend Happy Hour. I'm so stoked to be back with you guys for another week. We got to kick it off with a cheers, guys. So grab your cocktails, your milk, your Pepsi, your Coke Zero, as I know Shamir's probably drinking out there, your energy drink if you're my man Chris. But anyway, grab whatever you've got. Let's do a quick toast. So here's to the yield, here's to the growth, and here's to that sweet, sweet cash flow. And also here's to you guys. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Let me know a few things here in the live chat and also in the comments below if you're watching the replay. Number one, what are you sipping on tonight? What did you bring to drink to the Dividend Happy Hour? Number two, what did you buy this week? Which stocks did you add to your portfolio? I'd love to know. And I'd love to know if we actually bought any of the same ones. I bet you we did. And also, number three, did anything cool happen in your guys' portfolio this week? Any income milestones hit? Maybe you reached, a certain portfolio value that's a milestone. Maybe you hit $10,000 in your portfolio, or finally, hit the six-figure mark, something like that. Anything cool happen in your portfolio? Let me know in the live chat, and also let me know in the comments below. I'd love to share that on the screen. But anyway, guys, next up, let me say what's up to all you guys here in the live chat. We've got Luis in the building. Michael's here. We got Joyce. Hey, Joyce. We have Fast Eddie. And Fast Eddie, remind me later about this question because I'd love to circle back on it. Pat's in the building. What's going on, Pat? We got Lou listening while he's playing Starfield, which I'm not a huge gamer. I used to be growing up, but man, Starfield, I don't have any of the new consoles. I haven't bought any gaming consoles since the Xbox 360, so quite a long time ago. But man, Starfield makes me want to buy a new Xbox. I'll tell you what, I love games like that. I love those open world, what do they call them? RPGs. I love those. We got Zal here. I see Chris, Josh, Rye is here. Says yo, what's going on, man? Wing Addiction, good to see ya. Felipe's here. Sir Dude Bro, man. What's up, peeps? What's going on, man? We have a Don here who's driving. Be careful out there, my friend, but listening in still. Good stuff. Lucas is here. Shamir, Bob, Samau. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. I apologize if I butchered that. Striper Kid, who's finally able to make the whole happy hour. Man, I'm happy to hear that. I'm glad to see you in the live chat. Anthony's here from New Zealand. That's so awesome. It's so crazy. It's so crazy to me, guys, just the different... Hey, knock it off. Peanut just woke up from a nap, and I would not be surprised if he just starts just acting up. So I apologize in advance. What is he doing back there, man? Oh my God. Anyway, I was just saying, it just blows my mind, like, how far and wide this community is stretched. It's such a cool thing. Anyway, Tommy's here. What's going on, Tommy? And Yeah Man's here as well and also Kevin. So let me see. I think I'm at a point now in the live chat where let me see what you guys are buying. Oh, Eli's here. What's up, Eli? A lot of people here. I'm sorry if I missed your name. All of you who are tuning in, it looks like there's 107 of us. I'm so stoked. I'm so stoked to have each and every one of you here. And in case you missed the beginning, today we're talking about dripping your dividends. Dripping is just an acronym that I don't remember the exact words in the acronym, but it's basically when you reinvest your dividends back in the position from which they came. So if Johnson & Johnson paid you a dividend, which they did this week, got a nice J&J dividend this week. Johnson & Johnson paid you a dividend, you would reinvest that back into J&J automatically. You wouldn't have to lift a finger for it. So we're going to be talking about dripping your dividends, why you should do it, why I don't do it, some of stuff like that. So Anyway, El Dynamico, greetings everyone from West Sac, having some cranberry juice. Man, I forgot that you live in Sacramento. That's cool. West Sac, is there still, there used to be a, right as you pull into West Sac, after you get off the Tower Bridge, there was, oh my gosh, there's a few of them. There's a really cute little coffee shop that I used to go to all the time, right as you come down off the bridge. But it closed down. It's right across the street from Burgers and Brew there. I wonder if you've ever been there. Let's see. We got Dex here. Let's see. What have you guys bought? We got Tatted Zach, who used to be Mr. Zach Attack, has recently gone, I don't know about all in, but mostly in on crypto. And he bought some Bitcoin and Ethereum this week, it looks like. Let's see here. Somehow picked up some UPS. We've got Quogs, who picked up some ANC because he was feeling crazy. Okay, very nice. Thomas picked up some more Kroger in the 401k. Looks like Kroger came out with some interesting earnings today. It was either today. I think it was today. Interesting earnings today. Let's see. Dex picked up some CVS on the dip and some SCHB. Very nice. Let's see. I see Dean drinking a Miller Lite. Tommy here picked up equal amounts of O and ADC. Very nice. El Dynamico loading up on Walgreens and Verizon. Couple deep discounts. A couple of stocks, too, that are not very loved right now. Excuse me, guys. Let's see. Jay here buying some SCHD and Best Buy. Good stuff. And I also didn't tell you guys. You guys saw me drinking this. If I have something in here, it's always water. I'm just sipping on a flavored water tonight, by the way. So good. Got to stay hydrated. It's hot here in Vegas today. Let's see here. Ooh, looks like Rye Guy went on a little shopping spree, guys. SCHD, Blue Owl Capital Corporation, WP Carey, and Altry Group. A lot of high yielders there with those last three, but picked up some nice. SCHD, you can't go wrong there. And a hair shy. This is crazy, guys. A hair shy of $26,000 of annual dividends. That's so insane. That's over $2,000 per month. $2,000. Maybe it's close to somewhere over $2,100 per month, right? Yeah, between $2,100 and $2,200. That's crazy, man. Good for you. Let's see here. Drew picked up some LTC and Realty Income. Kevin, nice little shopping spree, it looks like. $125 into Western Union, which is an interesting play. I don't feel like we ever see people buying Western Union. $50 into J&J and 8 other positions at $25. Okay, very nice. Dave with some Realty Income, Zhao with some Realty Income, a total of 346 shares, almost 347. That's crazy. Whew, that's crazy. I know. Recently I tried to calculate what that monthly income is, and I'm not going to get into that again because I butcher it every time if I try to do it off the top of my head. Wing Addiction having a nice little cocktail there, some vodka and Coke, and also went on a nice little shopping spree. Added Hershey's, bought more Coca-Cola, Realty Income, Main Street, SCHD, and UPS. Good stuff, man. Great picks. Let's see here. Fast Eddie, stacking cash and closer to retirement. Love it. Kevin, nice little milestone here. Just crossed over $600 in annual dividends. Good job. Good job, Kevin. That's incredible, man. Eli here, nice little shopping spree as well. SCHD, DGRO, Discover. Nexstar Media, Russ will be happy about that. If Russ is watching, I doubt he is right now. He may be, I don't know. I was right before I went live, I was listening to a voice message from him. We do this thing, guys, where, and I've talked about this before, him, Harris, and myself, Ari Gutman, we've been doing this more lately too, and I do this with Professor G from time to time too. We'll send these like voice messages. We'll have these conversations, not text, but it's just voice messages sent back and forth. So I was just listening to one from Russ, and sometimes these can get up like 10, 12 minutes a pop. It's not uncommon. But anyway, he'd be proud of you for buying some Nexstar Media and just about $1,000 worth of NEE. That's NextEra Energy, right? I think so. Good stuff, man. That's a big purchase. Let's see here. Hans, and we'll get into the main event here in just a moment, guys. Hans bought 5 shares of SGOV and 8 shares of BIL. Also, later on in the stream, once we get through the main event, I do want to pick your guys' brain on something, and it has to do with the community post that I put out yesterday or 2 days ago on the topic of the dividend happy hour. So remind me to bring that up in just a bit because I'll forget otherwise. Let's see here. A couple more guys. Joyce picked up some. Look at all those. SCHD, Vici, who had a nice dividend raise. ABR, Jeppy, and JepQ, as well as a few more. Scott going hard on some Altria Group. 100 shares. Wow. Wowee. Good stuff. Buying that cash flow. Michael here drinking Bush and buying SCHD. Unbeatable combination. And then for the first time ever in the Dividend Happy Hour, we have our friend McVeigh. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. It's good to see you in here. Hope you enjoy it. Let's see here. Okay. Striper Kid. Oh, he's talking about games. Yeah. Some of these I don't know. I know Doom. I know MOH, Medal of Honor, Call of Duty. I don't know TFC or AA. Anyway. Let's see here. Let's keep going here. I'm quite a bit behind in the chat. Yeah, talking about gaming. I see a couple other comments there. I love Grand Theft Auto, all time my favorite game. I can't tell you guys how many times I've beaten Grand Theft Auto 4 start to finish. That's like one of my all time favorite games. That, Tony Hawk, all the Tony Hawk games. You know, Tony Hawk's Underground and Underground 2, love them. Let's see what else I missed here. We're going to get into the main event. I'm just seeing if there's any other comments here that I missed. Uh-oh, we got Harris in the building. What's up, man? Harris is going on a big cruise tomorrow, so everyone wish him good luck on his trip, all inclusive. So you know what that means. He'll be throwing back a few margaritas. Shamir just read this comment. I feel like Ryan and the rest of the YouTube gang do the "what's up" gag and relive the early 2000s. Yeah. No, we have a good crew. There's a lot of good people. There's a lot of good people in this community. I'm happy to be friends with all the guys that I am here. So, let's see here. I see some comments about options. We're about to get into the main event. So any questions that you guys have that I missed, I apologize. Ask them again after we get through the main event. So for those of you who are just now tuning in, sorry if that was loud. It looks like we have like 185 people in the stream. I think we can get up over 200 tonight. Nobody leave until we get up over 200. That's the rules. Okay, so in case you're just now joining, though, we are talking about dripping your dividends, which Zal, let me see if I can find the comment. Dividend reinvestment plan, I think is what he said the acronym was. He spelled it out for us. I'm going to find that. Oh, right here, yeah. Dividend, DRIP stands for Dividend Reinvestment Plan. Now, a lot of you guys are already familiar with it, but essentially it's, and I've said it like 3 times already, so I apologize that I'm repeating myself to you guys who've been here from the beginning, but essentially that's when you get paid a dividend, and then that dividend gets automatically reinvested back into the position that paid it, you know? Pretty simple stuff. Now, going back to this email question that I get, this individual, he's in quite a predicament where he's wondering. He's got a few stocks that are less than 1 share. He's only got a fraction of a share in 11 holdings out of the 30 in his portfolio. And he's wondering if he's going to be better off reinvesting his dividends basically all across the board from other positions as well, from all 30 stocks, into the ones that are fractional shares, or if he's better off just leaving drip on throughout his entire portfolio and building up those fractional shares at a bit of a slower pace. Now, truth be told, in that particular situation, and really when it comes to reinvesting your dividends at all, there's not really a right or wrong answer, and for the most part, deciding whether or not you want to drip your dividends is preferential. But with that said, there is an argument to be made for why you may want to just leave the drip on, especially as you're just starting out. Specifically, if you're just starting out, if you are a brand new investor. Now, the first reason, and some of these are going to be obvious to you, so I apologize, guys, but the first reason is just for the sake of simplicity, okay? Dripping your dividends is simple. It's much easier to just reinvest your dividends back into the positions that paid them, and doing so may be, preferable to you if you're looking for the most hands-off and automated option available, which a lot of you guys are. A lot of you guys, that's why a lot of you invest in ETFs. And it especially makes sense to just drip, to just automatically reinvest your dividends if you are solely investing in ETFs. Like if you're just buying some SCHD and some VU, yeah, just reinvest it back into those positions. No sense in capturing that and manually redistributing it. You certainly can, but it's gonna be so much easier to just not. So the first reason why you may just want to leave drip on, especially as a brand new investor, is just because it's so easy. Okay. The second reason, once again, it's going to be obvious. Dripping your dividends will help you build larger positions, and that's what the individual in the email was wondering. Should I do it? Should I turn it off so I can build larger positions in the ones that I'm specifically trying to build? Or should I just let it do its thing and build larger positions just all across the board and reinvest those dividends? So, like I was saying, that's pretty obvious. It's going to help you build larger positions when the dividends get reinvested. So not only will you build larger shares in those positions, but it also that's really what creates that sort of flywheel snowball effect, that dividend snowball effect that we always talk about for the positions that you're reinvesting in. And sometimes, if you turn your drip off, the only way that some of those positions will grow, or any of those positions, is if you manually allocate funds to them, which can be a good or a bad thing depending on how you want to diversify your portfolio and depending on how large you want specific positions in your portfolio to get. So going back to the email question, if you want to build up your fractional positions, then it may make sense to turn drip off and manually reallocate funds to those specific positions. If you want to build them up at a faster rate, that will certainly help. But on the other hand, you're just starting out. You probably have bigger fish to fry than worrying whether or not worrying where you should be reinvesting your dividends. So once again, I think you could go either way. In general, since you're kind of just starting out, I'm guessing since you have 30 positions at all that, with $9,000 invested total, I'm guessing none of those are relatively large positions. So, just spend time trying to build those out, to build all of them out. Maybe even look for ways to potentially consolidate, because 30 positions with $9,000 invested is quite diversified, if I'm being honest, at least in my opinion. But anyway, so that's maybe a couple reasons why you might want to leave drip on and reinvest your dividends. Now, I personally don't. I don't know exactly when it was. Maybe it was a year ago now, or a year and some change ago. I turned off the automatic reinvestments of dividends in my portfolio, and the main reason for that is just because I just wanted more control over where my funds were being allocated. And let's go over to my dividend portfolio tracking spreadsheet real quick. So this is the dashboard. It shows my monthly dividend income. And by the way, you guys, I know if you've seen my videos before, you already know this, but if not, you can grab this this spreadsheet here for free. Let's zoom out so you can see it. You can grab this spreadsheet for free. There's a link to it in the description of the video, but this is one of the things that I use to track my entire portfolio. But anyway, going back over here, let's zoom back in. I stopped reinvesting my dividends because it was getting to a point where the dividend income that I was receiving, like on a monthly basis, was starting to get substantial enough that I felt that it made sense to capture that and manually redistribute elsewhere. So it wasn't a big deal to just reinvest the dividends, just leave drip on when I was getting, $20 a month, or almost $9 a month back in August 2020, or even some of these like $50 a month. It starts to get a little bit hefty, but some of these smaller months, it made sense just to leave the drip on and build out those positions. But once I started getting to the point where I was bringing in $160 or $166, or even $220 back in November of last year, Once you start getting into this range, you can really do some damage with those dividends being reinvested. If you manually capture that, $220, you could buy. Let's see, Realty Income right now is $50 a share, or no, $57. So you could buy 4 shares of Realty Income, almost 4 shares of Realty Income, but you could buy like 4 shares of, let's just round up, okay? You could buy like 4 shares of Realty Income just in 1 month, just from those dividends. So that's definitely not nothing. And so it got to the point where I just felt like I wanted more control over the positions that I was building up, and the dividend income was substantial enough that redirecting it would help me accomplish the diversification goals I had, let's say. And I got to the point, as I learned more too, where I learned that there were just some positions I didn't want to build up anymore. Like Intel was an example. I didn't really want to buy any more Intel shares. It got to a point with AT&T and Verizon where I kind of wanted to pump the brakes on those. So it made sense for me to turn the drip off and not reinvest the dividends to pick up any more shares. So it was just that's pretty much why I turned the drip off. And I think a lot of investors, I think a lot of you guys are probably in the same. You can let me know in the live chat or in the comments below. But I think that's part of the natural evolution of building a dividend portfolio. I think a lot of us get to the point where we come to that conclusion where we decide we've got some experience under our belt. We feel comfortable making contributions and deciding what we're going to invest in. And once you've kind of been down the road a little bit, you just inherently want to be a little bit more picky with where your contributions are going. So I think a lot of us kind of get to that point where we just decide it's better to turn the drip off. I'm getting enough income right now that I could pack a punch elsewhere. If I just started a position in Williams Sonoma, I could take all these dividends and buy more shares of Williams Sonoma right now because that's what I want to build up. So I think a lot of us get to that point, but I could be wrong. Let me know actually in the live chat in the comments below. Let me know, do you drip your dividends? If you don't, well, if you do, you don't have to say why, but if you don't, I'd be curious to know, like, why did you turn the drip off? Was it for the same reason that I just tried to probably like incoherently explain or incohesively, or were there other reasons that you decided to turn the drip off? I'd be curious to know. So let me know that in the live chat or in the comments below if you're watching the replay. I'm curious. So let's see here. Let's see. And also, too, one thing I didn't mention is you can do a hybrid. You don't have to completely turn drip off. You don't have to completely leave it on. You could automatically reinvest on an individual basis. So if there's one position you want to build up and you want the dividends to just go back into it, you can certainly do that as well. So I didn't really, I kind of made it seem like an all or nothing thing, but that's not entirely the case. So let's see here. Let's go through these comments here. Where was it? 20. Okay, so starting here with Shaw Dog, I turned off the drip. I'd rather choose where the dividends go towards each month or quarter. Okay, yeah, it's kind of the same thing here. Quags, no drip. Charles, depends on the stock. Okay, that's fair. Richard, drips. Let's see. Okay, Luis turns his drip off. He manually reinvests his dividends. Nice here says, my app doesn't even allow drip. Okay, some don't. Let's see here. Logan says, personally have drip turned off. It's easier to manually balance the portfolio and build up what you're focused on. Yeah. And the thing is, too, why I was trying to say, kind of on that note, why it might make sense for someone who's just starting out to leave it on, because you might not know what you're focused on yet. You might not know exactly what you want to build up. So in that instance, maybe you're just better off building all of it up. But then, like I said, once you kind of get some experience under your belt and get some reps in and have some time doing this, then you start to get a feel for how you want to diversify and you get a better sense of what you do want to focus on. So there's a lot of this stuff, guys. This is going to be an obvious statement, but there's just so much of this stuff that I don't know, so much. Just how do I say this? There's just, gosh, I'm so driven over my words. A lot of this stuff I don't want to say learn by doing, but a lot of this stuff, it just takes time to figure out. It just takes time. So that was not the best way to say what I wanted to say either. Goodness gracious. Bob says, I think drip would be good for monthly payers. Perhaps. Let's see. Adon here says, I don't drip Intel or 3M due to share price appreciation and don't drip DTD due to expense ratio. Okay. Anthony says, I have drip on as I'm in the early days of investing and my dividends are small at the moment. I think that makes sense. Captain Suburbia says, I don't drip. It doesn't make sense to buy stocks that might be overvalued by the market. Oh, yeah. Thomas says 222 watching. Now we got 226, baby. Thank you, guys. It's always, in my mind, 200 is like the threshold. Anything above 200, people watching the stream. I'm stoked. I don't think we've ever hit 300. I think the most that we've ever gotten here is like maybe 260 something. I don't know, guys. Maybe one of these days we're gonna have to get 300 people in here. That'd be awesome. That'd be sweet. Let's see. Pat's got his drip turned off here. Julia says drip for index funds is fine. For individual stocks, depends. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Dream Pop here says, no, I don't. I want more control over where my dividends go, and sometimes I'm focused on a particular stock. Yeah, that's exactly. Let's see. Fawad says, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, man. My drip is off. Let's see here. Josh started drip this week. Deck says if it's below my average, I'll drip. Okay. Let's see. Brad does not drip the yield max ETFs. Rest are being dripped. Guys, oh my gosh, we're really jumping up in streamers here. We've got about 250 people in the stream. That's awesome. Okay, nobody move. Nobody go anywhere. We've got to see if we can. We've got 35 minutes left in the stream. I'm wondering if we can hit 300. Share the link to the stream with a friend, with a neighbor, with an email list, with your local news station. We got to hit 300 people in the stream tonight. And don't do what Zal says. 200 viewers. Time to leave. Cammy here has got his drip off. Let's see. Let's keep going. Rob, I love drip. I keep it on for every position. Okay, nice. Very nice. Be Still, we'll go through just a couple more of these, and I want to talk to you guys about something. Be Still says, I keep drip turned on. I try to only invest in high-quality stocks for the long term, so I don't mind if the stocks are a little bit higher in price when the dividend is paid. Yeah, I think that's I actually think that's a good approach. I like that. Eli, I just drip. I like getting a little more from the stock each time. Yeah. Yeah, I don't blame you there. Select positions. Okay. Let's keep going here. Boone says, are we going to have our host or are we just going to chat? I don't know what you mean by that. Drip snowball. Okay, let me keep going here. Caleb's got a question about yield max funds. I'll circle back to that. I do want to talk to you guys. Okay, I want to talk to you guys about it's not even a big deal. So, and I'm sorry, I skipped over a couple questions. Put them back in the live chat in just a moment. If I jumped over yours, I apologize. But so yesterday, guys, I put out this community post. It was a poll that was asking pretty much what your favorite part of this dividend happy hour is of the live stream. And I basically gave three options. It was the first option was kind of the main topic, which in this case was, why I don't drip my dividends, which usually takes, anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes of the stream. The second option was the Q&A hangout section of the stream, which is the majority of it, which is basically what we're doing now until the end of the stream. And then the third option was an other, which is like if there's anything else you like about the stream, let me know. But anyway, so I asked that because I've been thinking about maybe switching up the format of the stream a little bit and doing something that's maybe a bit more, because I figured, and I could be wrong on this, but I figured that most people would come just for this part right here, hanging out in the live chat, just, having that back and forth and doing that. And I figured that most people come for that versus like the main topic. I figure most people would rather just kind of riff off the live chat and do this versus hear me talk about dripping dividends. And I could be wrong, which is why I put out the post. But anyway, the reason I asked was because I've been thinking about switching up the format of the live stream and emphasizing this more, emphasizing the chat more. So anyway, I was going to get your guys' thoughts on that, but okay. Yeah, so this format works. I like the chat and learning. Okay, this is good feedback. That being said, I do enjoy most of the videos start with somewhat brief target topic. Luis loves it all. Okay, this is good to know. And what I did today, obviously, I just pulled a question that I got from email. I'm kind of thinking, unless I have like really something specific that I want to talk about, I'm kind of thinking I'll make that the main topic every week. Some sort of question that's asked by the audience to dive a bit deeper on. So maybe that's kind of a happy medium between what you guys are saying and what I was initially thinking. But anyway, B still says, I have an idea. Maybe try and do real-time polls on certain stocks. Like, for example, who here would buy Waste Management right now or something like that? Maybe kind of fun. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, Michael says, I like everyone saying what they're drinking. Yeah. Okay, this is good. A lot of us are not experienced, so between the topic and chat, I learn. Okay, well, that's good to know, guys. I appreciate that feedback. So with that said, I mean, we've got 30 minutes left in the stream. Let's go through. I mean, I know I missed a few comments. I'm going to scroll back up here in the live chat and go through some of these questions that you guys have. Starting here with Rashawn, who asked, what would you invest more into at the moment, Realty Income or SCHD? Oh, gosh. On what, it's a tough question to answer because it depends on so many things, but I can say that personally, Rashawn, I've been buying both every week. I bought 2 shares of Realty Income this week. I think I bought 2 shares last week, but at the same time, I buy SCHD every week. So it just depends. It just depends what your goals are. I mean, let's say that you've got a portfolio. I don't know what your portfolio looks like, but maybe you've got SCHG is the foundation in your portfolio, and maybe Realty Income's like some sort of satellite position. Maybe it's a small allocation, but if you want to build up Realty Income more in your portfolio, even though SCHG is the foundation, if you want to add some more Realty Income, now's not a bad time to do it. Whereas SCHD, I think, is one of those. It's just one of those that you buy every single week, no matter what. So I do think right now is a pretty opportune time to buy something like Realty Income, and a lot of REITs are at a discount right now. So, like I said, it's hard for me to say. I'm personally buying both. I know that was kind of a lame answer, but that's the best one I have. Jay here says, Ryan, you think you might start options soon since your portfolio is bigger now? I get like 25% more with options than just dividends alone. Yeah, honestly, Jay, I don't think so. I don't have any serious plans to start options soon. Because, oh man, I mean, yeah, I don't really have any plans to start options soon. The time that it would take for me to learn options, and which I've got kind of a decent grasp around it, but the time that it would take for me to learn options and the time that it would take me, which maybe it takes a lot of time, maybe it doesn't. I've heard both things. I've heard that options can be time consuming. I've heard others say it's not that time consuming, but I would just rather put the time into other things. Like, I'm working on some things off platform, off YouTube that I'd love to come out with and roll out to you guys. So I'd rather put the time and energy into doing that, and I'd rather put the time and energy into doing more stock research. Like, for example, yesterday I spent, and I'm going to try, if I can, I'm going to try and set aside like 1 day per week to do something like this. Just one work day, quote unquote work day, to do something like this. Yesterday I spent like between 4 or 5 hours just like sitting there researching a new stock. And it's been a long time since I've actually done that, and I want to get back into the habit of doing that. And so I'd rather take the time and do that, like do more stock research to sharpen my skill set with that versus learning this new thing that would be, for me, that would be options. That may come in time, but as far as creating more income, I just personally feel like there's a better way for me to go about that right now. So, but never say never. At some point, I think it'd be cool to get into options. But I don't really have that much of an interest in doing it right now. But if I get the itch, and that changes, then I would certainly do that. And if I did do it, I would certainly make content about it too. So anyway, thank you for the question. So let's keep going here. Let's see. Okay, so Josh says, when investing, is it best to dollar cost average whole shares of stocks or buy fractional shares, spreading the money across the portfolio? Once again, it just depends. Like, it depends how. It just depends how you want to diversify your portfolio. If you have multiple positions that you want to build up at the same time, then it doesn't hurt to spread your contributions across those different positions. Each one's going to grow a little bit slower, obviously, than if you were to invest just in one at a time. But at least something's better than nothing. But then on the other hand, some people actually, I think Luis said that he was like this earlier in the chat. Some people just have this weird mental, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say weird. Some people have this hold up with buying fractional shares. They just mentally do not like to see the decimal point and then some numbers after the decimal point when it comes to their number of holdings. Some people don't like having 20.34 shares of Coca-Cola. They have to have either 20 or 21. It's got to be a whole number. So I know it doesn't sound like, based on the question, you are that way, but some people are. But I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with spreading your money across the portfolio if there's multiple positions that you want to build at one time. I know, for me, that's kind of, and sometimes too, when there's a lot of discounts out there, it's hard not to do that. But other times, in your portfolio, you just have one stock that you're actively trying to build. It just depends what your goals are, really. And once again, just kind of like dripping your dividends, it's preferential. There's no right or wrong answer there. So let's keep going here. Let's see. Next topic should be yield max. Yeah, people keep asking me about yield max. I made a video on TSLY a few months ago now, and I just don't know that I have anything new to add to what I've already said. I don't know though. Ari Gutman made a video earlier this week on TSOY. Actually, a pretty solid video. So if you guys haven't watched that yet, I'd recommend checking it out. Oh, Zhao, man, congratulations. This is off topic, but I got engaged this week. The missus and I are finally making it official after nearly 10 years together. Well, dude, I'll drink to that. Cheers. Congratulations, man. That's incredible. That's really great. Let's keep going here. 10 years, man. That's awesome. Good stuff. Let's see. Keep going. Yeah, Rice says if you do options, you should do it in a separate account. Never mix buy and hold. Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. If I was to start doing options, I probably would, just from what I've seen, I probably would just do it on Robinhood. It looks like the easiest to use platform for options from what I've seen, so I probably would just go that route. So this is a really good question. So, hi Ryan, I'm Canadian. Just wondering what happens to my SCHD investment if ever Schwab Bank collapses. If I'm American, my investment might be protected by the government. So, okay. What would happen to your SCHD investment? I'm guessing likely you'd have two options. So if SCHD were to dissolve for whatever reason, it's possible, and if Schwab was to completely go out of business, which I don't foresee happening, but stranger things have happened. But let's say that happens. So from my understanding, two things would happen. Some other brokerage or some other bank or company would buy those assets. So they would buy up your investment in SCHD and give you the option to put it in one of their probably comparable funds, or you would just get that position liquidated back to you in cash. So you wouldn't lose your money or anything like that. You probably, option A just would be whatever brokerage buys up the Schwab's assets, which would include the assets under management. You probably would just, the money would go into a comparable fund, like if Fidelity bought it up or something like that and they've got a comparable fund. Or, you'd just be given the market value, the cash amount of the market value of your holding at the time. So nothing too crazy would happen. You'd be okay. Let's see here. Let's keep going. Uh-oh, we got Darth in the building. What's up, Darth? How you doing, man? What are you doing tonight? Heard you, or I saw on your Instagram you had a nice big leg day today. Yeah, Raul, this is a good question. So, what's the difference in having high risk tolerance in JEPI but not for yield max funds? I mean, so this is a really good question. So, while both funds, JEPI and TSLY, for example, while they're both technically covered call ETFs, there's quite a few differences between the two. I mean, JEPI is spread out. JEPI's got, if we could just go to Seeking Alpha, JEPI has is so much more diversified than is TSLY. So JEPI, okay, if we go look at the holdings, you guys, yeah, we're on the screen here. So look at all these holdings. So we're diversified across all these different sectors here. So the volatility is going to be much lower because it is more diversified. So it looks like there's 140 different holdings within JEPI. So you get exposure to all these companies. Whereas with TSLY, it's obviously just it's not. It doesn't actually even own anything. There are no long holdings within the fund. It doesn't even own Tesla. It doesn't even own shares of Tesla to write the covered calls on. It does what's called a synthetic covered call strategy. So it sells the covered calls while simultaneously, I think, buying puts. And I might have that a little bit backwards, but no, I'm pretty sure that's right. I think it sells calls and buys puts at the same time to replicate ownership of Tesla shares. So, and obviously it's writing covered calls just on one fund, or one stock, excuse me, whereas JEPI is writing covered calls on an entire index. If you go here, it is, where does it say? Achieve creating portfolio sells call options with exposure to the S&P 500. So it's writing calls on the whole index, which obviously moves with less volatility than TSLY, which is why JEPI's yield is considerably, I mean, still high yield, don't get me wrong, but considerably lower than what we would find with TSLY. I mean, Tesla is obviously much more volatile than is the S&P 500. So yeah, I mean, there's some symmetry between the two funds in the sense that they're both covered call ETFs, but there's a lot of pretty significant differences as well. But yeah, I mean, and two, like in terms of owning JEPI, because one might, probably one of the underlying questions here, or one of the undertones of this question is, why do you have JEPI in your portfolio but you don't have TSLY? Well, and that honestly is a fair question. And when it comes to JEPI too, like, it's really not a big allocation in my portfolio at all. If we go back over to my spreadsheet, I'll show you guys. And when I first bought into JEPI, I don't think I have, well, maybe one other tranche, but I've not hardly bought any shares since I started the initial position. And JEPI's only 2.5% of my portfolio. I guess it really is like not much lower than Coca-Cola. But JEPI is the smallest position, almost smallest position. Southern Company is actually the smallest. One of the smallest positions in my portfolio. So I have like hardly any exposure to JEPI. And my whole thought too with TSLY is, if you want to put some money in it, because I know it's tempting, and I know Darth's a fan of TSLY as well. I know it's tempting to go for that yield or whatever. And if you want to do so, put a few bucks into it, buy a few shares, see what happens. But my whole thing with it is, I guess what I'm trying to say to people is, don't make it, because a lot of people are going all in on TSLY or making it like a majority of their investment strategy. I'm trying to say, don't do that. Don't make TSLY a large position in your portfolio. It seems really volatile. It seems like a very risky thing to do, and I just don't think that's a sound way to invest across a long period of time. So I just wouldn't do something like that. And the same is true with JEPI. I maintain the same stance with JEPI. I wouldn't make JEPI a huge position in your portfolio. But with that said, I mean, JEPI's been around for a few years now, and its total returns have actually been pretty decent. So, and I do believe JEPI to be a bit more stable than TSOY. Let's see here. Let's keep going. And I see this is a common strategy too. Darth has 700 plus shares of TSOY. I can't complain with it buying my dividend growth stock. So a lot of people do that too. They'll, like Darth, they'll buy Tesla, make it a, and I don't know how big Darth's portfolio is overall, to be honest. Like 700 shares of TSOY might be like a drop in the bucket for him. But a lot of people buy it, put a lot into TSOY, and just say, well, the dividends I receive, I'll then go buy dividend growth stocks. Man, I would do the opposite. And it depends on your goals too, but I would do the opposite. I would buy dividend growth stocks. I would just cut out the middleman. Just buy dividend growth stocks. Yes. So Fast Eddie had a question. Thank you for reminding me. Fast Eddie's question is why? Remind me again. It had something to do with not selling Verizon and AT&T, right? Basically, why do I still hold Verizon and AT&T? I think that's the question. So basically, why he asked Russ why he sold out of Verizon and AT&T. So he's asking me why I still hold them. So a couple reasons. Let's start with AT&T. Let's start with both of them actually. So both of them, truth be told, I'm starting to do this with my whole portfolio. I talked earlier about starting like sitting down and doing dedicated stock research. What I'd like to do, and this will take place over a period of months because it's going to take some time, but I'd like to go through. I've been building out this stock research tool, and excuse me, that's going to be a completely comprehensive, basically, how do I explain it? It's going to be basically a comprehensive checklist and resource to do stock research. And for me, all of my stock research is going to be housed in this tool. I'm going to take notes on everything from just company overview to financials to valuation to competitive advantages, anything that I can think of, anything that has to do with stock research is going to go in this tool. And I'd like to go through all of the holdings in my portfolio and basically do all the research once it just in depth from start to finish for all the stocks in my portfolio. So one of the reasons I'm still holding on to AT&T and Verizon is because I don't know that I want to make a move on either of those two until I've actually revisited them in depth. Now, with that said, upon doing so, there's a chance that I could sell out of one of them, both of them, or just hold on to both of them. I'm down quite a bit on both of them right now. And I don't want to do anything because if I'm going to sell one of them, I don't know yet which one that I want to sell out of. I want to do the research and revisit the stocks in depth and try and determine that. But I don't want to do anything until I do that. And I think like I said, I was doing some stock research yesterday on a stock that's not in my portfolio. Once I'm through that, I'm going to transition to the ones in my portfolio. And I think I'll start with some of those laggards like the AT&Ts and the Verizons, just so I can kind of get a clear idea of what I'd like to do with them moving forward. But I will say with AT&T, I know the sentiment's so low on that company. Management, poor acquisitions in the past. Okay, I get it. High debt load. I understand. But and now lead cable situation, which I haven't heard anything about lately. And in fact, AT&T, I believe, is suing the Wall Street Journal for that article because I think they're saying it was a pretty unfounded article. I don't know. Let's see how it plays out. But regarding AT&T specifically, I don't feel like I don't mind the direction the company's headed in. I think they're on track to meet their free cash flow guidance for the year. Their debt is coming down, and I know they're also gaining subscribers as well. But anyway, with the industry, I know that there's issues with the industry, and I don't think any one particular company has a competitive advantage in the industry. Like what separates T-Mobile from AT&T from Verizon? Yeah, and that's just another thing. Once I go back and do my research, I'll get a better idea of what that is. And I think that's something I've missed out on quite a bit I was thinking about this today and yesterday, especially after sitting down and doing research and taking notes on it and just getting everything that I see and think written down. That's something I missed out on the first few years of this investing journey, is not having some sort of, like, I don't want to call it templated, but some sort of structured way to go through companies. It's kind of just been reading a lot and then just keeping it all up here and then using just kind of like instinct based on what I've gathered from reading and whatnot. But man, it's been so helpful just being able to write things down and organize those thoughts, you know? And so my perspective on not a lot of the companies, my perspective on those companies may change upon doing that, but I don't want to do anything until I do that. So let's keep going here. Let's see. And I'm a few minutes behind in the chat. I'm like 6 minutes behind. Dang, Elron, look at that. First time live, 2:45 a.m. here. That's awesome. Man, get some rest. Get some rest. That's crazy. Let's see here. I see a lot of TSOY talk still. Shawdog here says Verizon and AT&T are going to make a strong comeback, and I don't know. Like I don't know that I see a lot of share price appreciation for those companies over the long term. That's certainly not been the case like so far. But I'm hoping that I can at least get back closer to where my average cost is with both of them. I don't think it's unrealistic for AT&T at some point to get up to, $20 a share again, hopefully. So I definitely think at some point it'll be higher than it is today. So yeah, and I think just going back with AT&T, I mean, the dividend's still pretty well covered. Verizon, I don't know. I know they were having some like free cash flow issues. I think those are since fixed, but I need to look a little bit deeper into it. So, but yeah, I don't feel as bad. I don't feel too bad owning those companies, and I know like they're, not the dividend growth companies like some of the other ones in my portfolio, like the Lowe's and the Williams Sonomas and the Starbuckses. And I think either way, like I don't, at least until I decide conclusively what I'm going to do with those two stocks, I don't plan to add any more shares. So, but I need to spend some time with them for sure. Brandon says, have you ever considered dabbling in crypto? Even a small portfolio allocation can likely outperform the rest of your portfolio in the next 2 years. Ethereum easy 4 to 5x in 2 years. And I just don't see, like, I read that and I just don't, with all due respect, Brandon, I don't know how you can confidently say it will likely do this and it will easily 4 to 5x in however many years. I just don't know what the basis is for that becoming a reality. I just don't understand that. So, but to answer your question, no, I've never considered dabbling in crypto because I don't understand it. Because I personally don't understand the appeal. Yeah, and then Kama here says, consider it opportunity cost. Sell Verizon, AT&T, and JEPI and invest in a true dividend growth stock such as Williams Sonoma. And maybe I will do that, but I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to do anything until I revisit those companies and spend time with them and make sure that's something that I actually want to do. Let's see. Yes, as far as I go. Luis, idea for the live stream. Invite some of the chat or listeners to share their stories, strategy, and goals. We learn a lot in the chat, but it would be great to meet everyone in person. Yeah, that is true. That would be fun to do. Let's see. Darth says, gonna go get a drink downtown. Ryan, I need to send you that beard that's in Vegas. Yeah, man, definitely text me. Hope you have a good night, Darth, and stay out of trouble, man. So let's keep going. I'm just getting caught up in the chat, guys. I'm actually pretty good. I'm like right there. So Chandler says, do you recommend drip during college? I managed to buy enough to get a few hundred a month now. Wait, so you're getting a few $100s per month in dividends? Is that, am I understanding that correctly? Yeah, I'll make sure to stay away from yield traps. Yes, definitely do, my friend. Definitely do. They're out there. Especially on Friday nights. You got to look out for them. Let's see here. Okay, so Kama says, thoughts. Sold my Procter & Gamble, started a position in Kenvue. I believe it'll have greater dividend appreciation. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any serious thoughts about that. I love Procter & Gamble. It's my largest position. And I didn't trade my Johnson & Johnson shares for any Kenvue. But I don't know. Could have greater dividend appreciation. We shall see. Let's see. Chandler says, okay, yes, because I started a few years before college. Yeah, I don't know. I think if you, like I said, I don't know that you being in college has anything to do with it. I just think it's more so a matter of it's more simple to leave the drip on. But if you feel that, I think it more so has to do with whether or not you want to have more control over where your distributions are going. So in the same way that you invest money into your portfolio and decide where to put that money, I think if you want that, like turning your drip off, turning your dividend reinvestments off will only add to what your contributions are doing. So I think if you want that greater amount of control over where the money's being distributed in your portfolio, it makes sense to turn drip off. Otherwise, it's more simple to leave it on. If you're okay with all of your positions like growing just from the dividends being reinvested, then just leave it on. Let's see. Oh yeah, Guy, this is a good question. What's your take on Target and these other retail companies? Do you just mean, what do you just mean in terms of shrink? Because I know that's been in the news a lot lately in retail theft, or what in what in regards to what do I think about what do you want to hear my take on as it pertains to the retail companies, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Yes, shrink and theft. Okay. So I'm still thinking through this. I mean, on one hand, it sucks, but it is something that they account for. And I read an article this morning on CNBC. I'll actually share it in my newsletter next week, which if you guys want to sign up to the newsletter, there's a link to it in the description. I shared my most recent article. I shared this week's newsletter in the description of the video if you guys want to read it, and you can sign up through that if you enjoy reading it. But I'll be sharing this article I'm talking about in next week's newsletter. So I read this article from CNBC that was talking about this. And first and foremost, companies, they account for shrink. They account for retail theft. They know it's a thing. So they do account for that. And what the CNBC article said was that a lot of times, interestingly enough, these companies, they'll talk about shrink, they'll talk about retail theft, but they won't exactly share specific details on how it's really affected them. They just, like, for example, lately they've been saying it's at higher levels, and that's why maybe there's some the margins aren't as good is because of retail theft. So they'll kind of blame that instead of, or it seems rather that they are using that as an excuse when maybe there's other reasons not related to retail theft that these companies are, producing lower earnings or earnings less than expectations. So sometimes based on this article, it seems like they kind of use that as a scapegoat. I'm sure there's some truth to that, but simultaneously, the reason they think that the article says that they might just be using it as a scapegoat is because number one, they don't share a lot of details necessarily around that. They just kind of say that as a blanket excuse, with the exception of Target, who actually did put out some concrete numbers. I think they were one of the only retailers to do so, according to this article. And yeah, and so my take on it, and what I think about it, is it's too bad. It'd be nice to see that get more under control. And I know companies like Lowe's, for example, are taking initiatives. And actually, we see this with Walgreens too. Like if you go into a Walgreens and everything's like, behind glass or behind, a locked cupboard or something like that, it's just because they're trying to protect their inventory. But at the same time, like that could also impact their sales. But Lowe's, for example, I read in their recent earnings call, I heard that they're going to be putting RFID, which stands for RFID, radio frequency identification technology. They're going to be putting those in some of the power tools. So basically, the tools won't be able to. You won't be able to. If someone steals the tools, they won't be able to use it with this RFID technology. The only way that it will essentially activate the power tools to be used is if you purchase them. So hopefully that will, some of these companies like Lowe's in that example are taking initiatives to combat shrink, to combat retail theft. But it comes with the territory. It's something that's never going to go away. And it does seem that to have, at least we've seen it a lot more in the news, I feel like. So it does seem to be something that's more at the top, something that's more, that's talked about more regularly. But at the same time, there's also a possibility that these companies are using it as a scapegoat to basically putting blame on that to justify their lower than expected earnings, when maybe it's just there's other reasons for it, like poor inventory control or other things that they'd rather not talk about. So who's to say? Oh man, Josh, this is a good question. So what kind of watch are you going to buy with your future dividend wealth? Actually, I want to go, before I get there, let me see, did I miss anything on? Yeah, what kind of watch are you going to buy with your future dividend wealth? I don't know. I've got a few that I'm looking at, but none of them are super expensive. Like all the watches I kind of have my eye on are like a couple $100 or a few $100. So there's a lot of good ones. Like, I mean, I'm rocking my Seiko. I haven't taken this thing off, and I love this. There's so many great, like, affordable watch brands out there, and I've been having fun learning about them. So, excuse me. You guys, take it from Michael. I subbed to the newsletter, and it was worth the time. Thank you, Michael. I'm glad to hear you enjoyed reading it. I appreciate you checking it out. So, Scott here. First time catching a live stream. Big fan of the show, and I always watch the vids. Keep on keeping on. Okay, and then, Guy, what'd you have to say here? So, to buy these companies as they are getting decimated, Dollar General, Target, Walmart, it feels like this is something that is always going to be an issue with retail. I don't know why this time it's so different. Oh, this is a great question. Shawdog, Ryan, will you ever make the pilgrimage to a Berkshire shareholder session just to see The Godfather? I would love that. I would love to do that. Honestly, I would buy a share of Berkshire just to do that. Maybe next year. We'll see. I feel like it's one of those things. I'm actually glad you brought this up. I feel like it's one of those things where if I didn't do it, I would. I feel like I'd regret it down the road. I feel like being able to do so now is such a unique opportunity, one that I'll never get back. And so yeah, it's something that I'd like to do, I think. But with that said, I think it'd be fun. I've been thinking about this. I think it would be fun if that were to happen. It would be fun for everyone here to go too, and then we do a big meetup and do do some fun stuff there. So I think it'd be cool to take a little like dividend investing community field trip over to do that. Let's see. I'm going to wrap it up in just a moment, guys. I'm just getting caught up here. Caught up here in the chat, see what else is going on. Kevin says, it's been an hour, Ryan, or is the evening open? No, I got to wrap it up soon. My lady just got home from work, so. Let's see. Okay, Chandler, I'm sorry. I saw your question earlier and I missed it, or skipped over it. Is Vici better to buy now than Realty Income? I'm trying to buy low and get the best performance in the long run for REITs. So I don't know. I mean, Vici so far it's a newer company, so it has more aggressive growth than Realty Income, but Realty Income's also been a pretty solid grower as well. I mean, the share price, I think, over the last 5 years is officially negative, but you look at the dividend growth, you look at the growth in revenue and funds from operation, Realty Income's been a steady grower. So, but they're just different. Like, you have to look at the portfolios and decide they're totally different portfolios. So you have to look at both of them and decide which one you'd rather be in. Would you rather have something that's certainly more diversified and for the most part, a completely different industry than what you would get from Vici? Are you looking for the more experiential real estate properties from Vici, or the more diversified retail real estate that from Realty Income? And I know Realty Income just bought a small stake in the Bellagio, so they're getting into the experiential stuff. But you just have to decide what your preference is. Striper says, want to win the war against retail theft? Easy fix. Make all stores like the old service merchandise. You order the stuff in store, pay for it, and they bring it out to you. Yeah, that would definitely help things. Anyway. And just so you guys know too, so like this question right here, it's the same thing as like, should I buy Vici or should I buy Realty Income? And questions like that, to be honest with you guys, like, should I sell forward to buy Target? I'll honestly, I'll never give you a straight answer. I'm never going to say, yes, you should do that, or no, you shouldn't do that. Truth to be told, like, those are just decisions I can't make for you. I can't. I'm never going to, anytime I'm presented with a question like this, you're just not going to get a straight answer from me. I can't say whether or not you should sell forward to buy Target. You need to decide if that's the best move. You need to make that decision. You need to make that one for yourself. Let's see here. Anyway, guys, I think it's a pretty good place to wrap it up. I'm all caught up in the chat. Let's see. See if I missed anything else. Okay. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good place to wrap it up. But all like 180 of you guys that are still here, all 180 of you guys that are still here, I really appreciate you tuning in and hanging out with me this last hour and 8 minutes. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Sorry, I'm just reading the comments here. Anyway, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Stay out of trouble, and definitely tune into Sunday's video. And a couple things, last couple of things, guys. Once again, if you want to read this week's newsletter, there's a link to it in the description. Join the Discord group. There's also a link to that in the description. It's totally free to join. You just got to click the link. I hope you guys have a good weekend, and I will see you in Sunday's video. Be sure to check it out. It's not a super long video, but I think you guys will enjoy it. So anyway, you guys have a good night and have a great weekend. Is it still going? I think it's still going. Wow. I pushed the end stream button. Let me know if you guys can still hear me. You can still hear me? Okay. Here, let's see. I'm having internet connection troubles. Okay, let's try it again.